Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about this little bounce here on Bitcoin because if you guys have been following the channel or cryptocurrency and Bitcoin technical analysis in general, you will be familiar with this consolidation pattern on Bitcoin that we, of course, broke bearish out of. But over the last 6 to 12 hours or so, Bitcoin has actually bounced off of a level of support down here around $3,680 and bounced very bullish. Bitcoin, in fact, has bounced about 4.25% over the last 24 hours or so. Very interesting move. You know, in yesterday's video, I gave it about a 55% chance that Bitcoin was going to break bearish here, with, of course, the implied thing being that there's a 45% chance that Bitcoin breaks bullish. I was very split because the technicals were showing a lot of support, but they were also showing bearish strength. And interestingly enough, the bears seem to have used that strength to kind of bounce off of that level of support and start moving us to the upside. Very interesting move. We're going to be discussing what may have caused this in today's video, and we're going to be talking about where Bitcoin might be going over the next couple of days and on into the next couple of weeks because of this bounce. From there, we're also going to be diving into some crypto news because Coinbase has actually fired a lot of the Neutrino members that were part of Hacking Team. If you guys have been following that controversy, this is probably something that is going to interest you. We'll be talking about that later on in today's video. But guys, if you enjoyed today's video, definitely consider dropping a like and hitting that subscribe button. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Bitcoin is trading around $3,800 again, and I didn't think that we were going to be trading up here again right around this level for quite some time, to be honest, because what we talked about in yesterday's video was the ability for Bitcoin to come down here and break this level of support and come down and test this uptrend of support right here. I was expecting Bitcoin to fall down here and come towards a Fibonacci level that we talked about, or just straight to this uptrend of support. I gave it about a 55% chance, maybe even close to a 60% chance that Bitcoin would break bearish here and start moving to the downside, with, of course, the implied counter to that being a 40 to 45% chance that Bitcoin did something bullish here. And if we come in here to the minute chart, we're going to see that Bitcoin has kind of flagged out here over the last couple of minutes, and it's very possible that by the time this video goes live, some of this is irrelevant and Bitcoin started moving to the downside again. But at the time of recording this, Bitcoin has had a rather major run here on the minute chart. As you can see here on the minute chart, as I'm recording this, Bitcoin is trending a little bit downwards, but we'll see what happens there. Now, let's go ahead and review what exactly caused this and why Bitcoin bounced here, because normally, especially after a move has happened, it's relatively easy to go back and do back technical analysis on that and try and determine what technical indicators were predicting that move, so that if you're able to look at what technical indicators were predicting that move, then you can use those technical indicators in the future. You can learn a lot by doing that. So the first ones that I want to show you have to do with moving averages. I believe the first one I want to show you is out here on the 4-hourly, and that would be this level right here, this being the 200 4-hourly exponential moving average. This is a very important moving average. The 200 is a very important moving average on the hourly chart, the 4-hourly chart, the daily chart, the weekly chart, across many different types of markets, across Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, XRP, all those markets. It's important on stock markets, Forex markets, precious metal markets, commodities markets, all these markets. The 200 moving average, the 200 simple moving average is very important. I always give this example here on the S&P 500 out on the weekly chart. We can see that recently and many times in the past, the S&P 500, for example, has bounced off of that level. It's a very important level of support, and perhaps I discounted it a little bit too much because it seems to be one of the contributing factors to why Bitcoin bounced here, because that level of support was sitting right below us down here, just a dozen or $2 below our level of support at $3,685 or so. This was sitting down here around $3,660. Definitely close enough to be part of the part of the support that caused this Bitcoin bounce. The other things I want to show you show up out here on the daily chart. One of them would have to do with the 100 daily moving average. That is this gray moving average right here. As you can see, this came down and just kind of caressed Bitcoin as it came down here and touched this level of support. It came down here and gave us a perfect level of support right there. Look at how close that got. Let's see how far we can zoom in and see just how perfect that level of support came in, just how perfectly this 100 moving average came in on top of that level of support. You see how close that is? That is obviously another one of the levels of support that Bitcoin was using here when Bitcoin bounced. There are several others that I could talk about, but I think you get the point. I discussed that in a previous video, so I won't go into too much detail with the levels of support that we touched here, but it is very important that we understand why the market moved the way it did, so that, one, we can use that knowledge to better our technical analysis in the future, so that we're better at predicting markets in the future, but also so that we can get a better idea of why the market did what it did, so that we can then determine what the market will do next. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about is that in live time, Bitcoin is retracing a little bit. It's about $10 down from where we started the video. Like I said, this may have fallen over by the time this video comes out. If it does, then I may make a second video on it, but we'll see what happens if that happens. But the next thing I want to talk about is where we think Bitcoin is going to go. Now, obviously, there's a pretty good chance that Bitcoin just falls over and goes straight back down to this level of support, and we just Bart Simpsoned up here. I know I'm jumping around the chart a lot. It's very possible that we come up here and then fall right back over. That kind of thing doesn't happen in markets all that much. It's very possible. Discounting that, if that doesn't happen, what else are we looking at here? There is something I want to show you guys in the technicals. And that is that a lot of the bearish technicals that were pushing Bitcoin to the downside are actually not all that strong. Now, as we can see here, the distance between the signal line, this being this color line right here, and the MACD line on the daily MACD chart, right on the daily chart, remember? It's not very, the histogram shows right here, these two lines are not very far apart. That's what these bars right here mean for the MACD. This is called the histogram. That shows how far apart the lines are on the MACD. And the further apart they are, typically the stronger the signal. And of course, the inverse of that, the closer they are, the weaker the signal. And of course, that just means that it's easier for the line to come in here and curve in on itself and have a cross like that. Because the closer they are, the easier it is for them to come together. So the fact of the matter is actually that the histogram, at least on these 2 points right here, now you don't really want to draw data points with only 2 points. You want to do it with 2 or 3, or with 3 or 4 or 5 especially. But over the next couple of days, I think that we might see that MACDs very well may start curving in on itself and start curving bullish, especially if Bitcoin maintains the gains that it made this morning and is able to actually keep up with that. Another thing I want to point out is out here on the daily chart, we see that the stochastic RSI is down here on the floor and has been for a week or so, a little over a week in fact. And oftentimes, since the stochastic RSI is an oscillator, a lot of times when it spends too much time in overbought or oversold territory, it's typically going to be a signal that you're about to see a reversal of that. Because of course, this is an oscillator, it oscillates, and so too is the market. The market is basically just one big oscillator that we trade in. The market tends to go into bullish and bearish cycles on the hourly chart, the 4-hourly chart, the daily chart, the weekly chart, the minute chart, the 5-minute chart. All of these, there's all these little sine wave movements, if you will, and Bitcoin tends to follow that in the same way that any other market will. And you can see that pretty clearly on the stochastic RSI. If you look back on the history here, this RSI is always bouncing around. It's moving around from bullish to bearish, bullish to bearish. And a lot of times, as you can see, when it spends too much time in one territory, it's normally going to move to the upside. And when stochastic RSI is moving up, that is typically happening because the market is moving up. So the fact that stochastic RSI has been down here for a long time is actually starting to become a bullish signal, interestingly enough. So keep that in mind. I believe there was something I want to show you on the 4-hourly chart. There was, in fact, and that would be the bullish cross here on the MACD. As we can see here, MACD had been very bearish on the 4-hourly ever since we broke bearish out here. And even a little bit before that, in fact. But we have, in fact, now seen a bullish cross on the MACD. I'm very happy to see that. I would, of course, like Bitcoin to start moving to the bullish side. I would love for Bitcoin to start moving up, but my kind of little bit more bearish sentiment from yesterday is still kind of left over. The bears I do still feel are slightly stronger, but that isn't always what's most important. Sometimes the bears can come in when the bulls are stronger and just make a really opportune move. I mean, it's kind of like the story of David and Goliath. Goliath should not have won that by all accounts, but David was more crafty. David was more cunning and came in and won the battle in a way that Goliath wasn't exactly expecting, nor was he the strongest in. And sometimes that happens with the bulls and the bears. Sometimes you see the bears come in and, for example, right here overnight when no one was really paying attention, because this did happen last night, sometimes the bulls come in and when the bears are stronger, they manage to make a move like this, which kind of tips all the technicals slightly in their favor. As I showed you earlier, many of the technicals that we were talking about that were bearish, like the 4-hourly MACD, the daily MACD, the stochastic RSI, many of these technicals, they're not extremely bearish. They're only slightly bearish. So if the bulls get anything, then it does actually help them. So this might be the beginning of some kind of rally on Bitcoin. It might not. I'm not going to make a prediction on this, guys, because I don't like making predictions on markets when they've just developed. I mean, this is very much live right now. This video will be going up about an hour or two after this is recorded. So go and check your charts to see if we've started flagging out here. What I think is most likely, to be honest, is that Bitcoin's going to do some kind of flagging pattern right here, and then it very well may break bullish, or we might Bart Simpson down. I'm not going to make a call on that yet because I want to see how the market develops, but that will probably happen in time for tomorrow's video. Anyway, guys, I think that's all we want to talk about with the technical analysis. Tell me in the comment section down below what you think of this bounce. This is a very interesting move. I'm very interested to see this kind of thing. You don't see it happen a lot. The last time that I can think of that something like this happened was back over here in early February when Bitcoin was in a consolidation pattern right here. It broke bearish and then traded sideways on the level of support that had been previously established and then broke very bullish. Now, it's very possible that we're about to see some more bullish price action come because of that, but like I said, guys, time will tell on that. Anyway, moving on to the news for today's video. This is coming out of Cointelegraph by Marie Huillet. Coinbase CEO, ex-hacking team Neutrino members will transition out of company roles. Now, guys, if you watched the video a couple days ago, I'll link that in the top right, where I talked about the hashtag delete Coinbase movement that had been trending on Twitter. You will probably be familiar with the names Neutrino, hacking team, Coinbase, and the word delete, because people were very upset about the company Neutrino being acquired by Coinbase because there were many employees in the company of Neutrino that had previously worked for a hacking team that more or less sold spyware to many different national governments. And of course, us being in the cryptocurrency community, people were none too pleased about that. So with the context, let's go ahead and move on with the story here. Brian Armstrong, co-founder and CEO of the major crypto exchange Coinbase, has said the Neutrino staff members with prior connections to controversial software firm Hacking Team will transition out of their new roles at Coinbase, i.e. they got fired. Armstrong made his announcement in an official blog post on March 4th. I'm going to go ahead and skip through some of this because this is what we talked about a second ago. As we can see here, the latter firm is alleged to have provided its surveillance tools to global law enforcement agencies. Those include the DEA and the FBI and other governments like the Moroccan government and the United States government. We already covered that, though. Responding to the crypto community's outcry at the Hacking Team connections, Armstrong has given his official statement, which concedes, while we looked very hard at the technology and security of the Neutrino product, we did not properly evaluate everything from the perspective of our mission and values as a crypto company. He then stated, together with the Neutrino team, we have come to an agreement. Those who previously worked at Hacking Team, despite the fact that they have no current affiliation with Hacking Team, will transition out of Coinbase. And while this kind of sucks for the guys that were being transitioned out of that because of where they previously worked, I think this is probably the best thing that could have happened for the cryptocurrency community because people were very, and I do mean very, upset at Coinbase. And for the sake of my own tale, I'm not going to comment on whether or not that was worthwhile or not. But I do think that it was at least a valid concern that a lot of the people that Coinbase was hiring were coming from people, a lot of the people that Coinbase were hiring were coming from a previously known hacking team where this hacking team was making surveillance equipment. I mean, guys, this is the cryptocurrency community. That's kind of antithetical to the entire purpose of cryptocurrency. So I can understand it. I can really understand where the outcry is coming from. And this is really interesting. The last couple of paragraphs here, this is really interesting. This is just talking about how Brian Armstrong wants Coinbase to be very compliant with AML and KYC requirements and to be legally compliant, modernized, in a regulated platform, as he says right here. Of course, if you want your company to be like that, it's very easy to, it's much easier to grow very large if you're compliant with the regulations that are in place. But this is what's very interesting right here. Ahead of Armstrong's statement, Christine Sandler, director of institutional sales at Coinbase, that's a typo, guys, has defended the Neutrino acquisition, stating that it was necessary for the exchange to migrate away from its existing blockchain analytics tool providers because they had been selling Coinbase clients' data to outside sources. Now that is really strange because first of all, what the heck, Coinbase? I have information on Coinbase, and most of you guys probably do. There's an affiliate link posted on Coinbase on the YouTube channel. I do like Coinbase, and I also do like that they are moving away from these people because they are selling our outside data. So that they're selling our data to outside sources. That being said, I'm not very happy that that ever happened in the first place, but it's really kind of ironic that we see that everybody was pissed off about what was happening with Hacking Team because of the potential for perhaps our data to be sold to outside sources, when in fact the entire reason that Neutrino was being brought on board was because data was being sold to outside sources. So we're kind of just in the catch-22. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't here. And I think this probably worked out for the best because now it seems that Coinbase is working with Neutrino to stop these kind of things. And the cryptocurrency community got exactly what they wanted, which was to not have Coinbase be affiliated with employees that used to work at Hacking Team. So this is probably the best way this could have worked out. It seems like Brian Armstrong has managed to save the face of his company, which I'm very happy about because like I mentioned in the previous video where we talked about that, if you click the eye in the top right, you'll see that video if you're interested in my first take on this. As I talked about in that video, I don't want the cryptocurrency community and Coinbase to be at odds with each other. I don't want there to be any tension there. The last thing I want is division in the cryptocurrency community. I mean, in the 21st century, in the age of social media, in the age of the mainstream media and the way it works now, in the age of the kind of political climate that we're currently in, there's more division than ever. And the last thing that I want to see in the cryptocurrency community is division. I want to see unity. I want to see community. I want to see people that are happy to help each other and teach each other. That is what I really, really strive to see in the cryptocurrency community. And I'm very happy to see that. And I think it's doing a very good job. We've all kind of come together and done the thing of supporting each other through the bear market, teaching each other, learning from each other. And I'm honestly, guys, I am blown away by the cryptocurrency community. I've loved it every minute of it since I've joined it. And that kind of leads me into the last topic of today's video. If you guys are interested, this is going to be talking about a thing that I'm going to be launching. If you're not interested, you can click off the video. But I think a lot of you guys are going to find this interesting. I think a lot of you guys are going to be happy about this. I talked about let me go ahead and bring up exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm Mr. Prepared right over here. I launched a community post a couple days ago where I talked about launching a chat group that I'm going to be doing, probably on Discord, but maybe on Telegram. Tell me in the poll in the top right if you'd prefer to have a chat group on Telegram or Discord. It'd probably be easier for me on Discord, but we can do Telegram if you want to. But in this post I made, I talked about how we're going to be launching a chat group for a $30 a month subscription. And if you guys are not interested in that, that's perfectly fine. I mean, not everybody has $30, nor if you have the $30, do you want to spend it on that? But what we are going to be talking about here is in this chat group, we're going to be trying to build community. We're going to be discussing our own trades and our signals. I'm going to be talking about my trades. I'm going to be talking about what I do. I'm going to be talking about my strategy. I'm going to be talking about everything that you guys want to talk about. We're going to be talking about news. We're going to be sharing technical analysis with each other. Like I said here, we're going to be learning from each other. I'm going to be learning from you guys, and you guys hopefully will learn something from me. And I really think that we're going to build an awesome community here. And it also is another way for me to help support the channel because, guys, it does take a lot of work to do these videos every single day. It takes a lot of determination. I went something like 7 or 8 months and I didn't miss a single upload. And it does take a lot of work for that. And of course, I would much prefer to be able to do something like this for free. And by the way, we do. That's what the Discord server's full for. But the monetary incentive here does help to justify the amount of time I spend on the channel from a financial standpoint, because it does take a lot of time that I mean, there are a lot of other things I could be spending my time on, and I love doing this, but it's much easier for me to justify it financially if there's an income stream. That's what the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy is for, and that's what this is going to be for. Also, guys, this is the kind of thing, like I said, I would be doing for free if I could, and if I want it, and in the future it might become free. We'll see how it happens. But also one of the reasons that it's going to be paid is because I want this to be a smaller, tighter-knit community than the Discord server where everybody knows each other. So tell me in the comments section down below if you're going to be joining this or not. I know that we have some people that are going to be joining. I mean, there's only, this says 7% that will be joining, but of course 7%, that's still like 30 of you guys, and I would love to have a community of about 30 to 100 people. So that's about perfect. I would love to see you guys join. That should be launching in the next week, to be totally honest. It should be launching in the next 2 or 3 days. I will keep you guys updated. I'm very excited for this, and I'm very excited to see the kind of antics that we get up into in this chat group. Guys, I still play some video games, so if you guys want to play any games and you're in the chat group, I'm more than happy to load up a league game with you. Maybe I'll download some games that you guys play, and we'll play some games and talk about Bitcoin and crypto over there in the group. By the way, guys, I'm still working out names for this group. If you have any suggestions, drop them in the comment section down below. But guys, that is going to do it for today's video. It is raining outside, so I need to ramp the video up before you can hear it, or you may have been able to hear it already. Sorry about that. Anyway, like I said, that is going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.